Welcome to Collins here for the Fairy Stamper. Today we'll be creating this mini slimline card. Let's go to the products I used to create it. We use Kimba, which is FHS089, Dragon Fruit Branch, which is FHS090. For our inks, we're bringing in Distress Oxide and Black Soot, VersaFine Clair in Nocturne, and we have our card base, which is 3 1/4 by 6 1/4. We have a layering, a pattern paper, and then our layering cardstock, which is black cardstock. And they're all about a smidgen or 1/8 of an inch bigger, or smaller than each other. All right. So we also have the die cut word hello, which is cut out of metallic silver paper. I know it looks gray here, but it's actually metallic silver. It's like a matte finish to it. Let's clear our desk and get started on our project. We're going to start with our pattern paper. We're going to stamp directly onto this using our VersaFine Clair. I'm situating my images, the branches to the top. I'm going to get my Kimba down here, nice, as I figure out there, which makes him admiring at his little dragon fruit. Going to hold that, put down my magnets and get started with the inking. Now, VersaFine Clair is a nice, rich, dark ink, but it also stays wet longer. So I will have to heat set this so I don't smudge my ink, because I've done that. One other thing I do is I stamp it and then I leave the stamp alone on the pattern paper or cardstock for a minute. Let it really absorb into that cardstock. This is a cardstock paper, single-sided, so it's nice heavyweight, but like I said, we want it to just absorb. So now that it's all heat set, we're going to color these images using Memento markers. I'm only going to do the dragon fruit, his horns, his tail, but his wings I'll be using the Fairy Hugs glitter in Pixie dust. Again, VersaFine Clair is great for watercoloring, and Memento markers are water-based. We're going to use Angel Pink, New Sprout, Cantaloupe, Bamboo Leaves, and Love Letter. And we're just going to color this like you do any other coloring. I'm going to start with my dark color here, just flicking on a little bit of color, and I'm using the brush nib side, because there's two sides to Memento markers. One is more fine detail, like a writing marker, and this side is like a brush nib marker. So I'm going ahead and I colored in the images with the light, and then I go in with the dark, and then I repeat with the light to blend them in better. So I'm doing all our leaves here. And then we'll move on to the fruit, which will be shades of pink and red. And this is just minimal coloring, so it's quick and easy to get done. And having the branch on the upper lighter part of our cardstock or pattern paper makes it beautiful, because it looks like the fruit are glowing, so to speak. So here we are, filled in our pink, and we're going to add our little touches of red. And like all reds, I don't know why red markers, no matter which medium you use, it's very saturated, so it tends to pull out. So I'm using very, very light touches here. Blending it out with our pink, and then we'll move on to Kimba. For Kimba, like I said, I'm only going to color his horns and his tail. And then we'll do a little bit of glitter touches to his wings. Here's a little close-up so you can see. And this adds a nice bright color without spending lots of time coloring. So now we're going to use the cantaloupe, and I'm going to fill in his horns here. And I'm going to not fill the horns all the way. So I'm going to basically use my cardstock, which is that pale blue there, to create a highlight on his horns. And you'll see better once I do the close-up. Repeat the process down here on his tail. And like I said, this goes so quick, you can really make a bunch of these assembly line if you wanted to. And just change the sentiment. A little on his nose. He's such a darling little dragon. He just is. Alright, so here's a close-up. You see how I left the little openings there? That created our highlights. For our wings, I'm just going to bring in a little bit of our Pixie dust glitter powder and some art glitter glue. So I'm going to put little dots of art glitter glue on his wings, or a lot of them. And I just smear it with my finger. Just dab it out. I don't want big globs. I just want it to be spread out. Now I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle my pixie dust on here. I pat it down and shake off the excess. I use a dry paintbrush with soft bristles to take off any of the extra glitter that may be floating around or sticking anywhere that I don't want it to. It's just from static. Just helps take the extra off. There you go, our wings are done. I'm going to take this and set it to the side because I don't want glitter everywhere. Now let's continue with our card. I'm going to put a little bit of this Distress Oxide all around the edge of our front panel here. 2 reasons. 1, I want to create this nice focal point. And 2, I want to cover the edge here, which is white, so it stands out when I put it against my black cardstock. I want it to look like it's one flowing seam. Towards the bottom here where Kimba is, I want to add more so it looks like he has a little ledge that he's sitting on rather than just floating. And this avoids me putting another layer of paper or anything else to create that little ledge for him to sit on. Basically, this is a fairly flat layered card, so it'll be nice for mailing. Okay, so now we're going to adhere our hello, and I'm going to just go ahead and add a few drops of adhesive on the back. I was at first thinking of putting it between Kimba and the dragon fruit, but then I figured that's obstructing his view of his beautiful dragon fruit, so I'm just going to go ahead and put it towards the top. So again, with the art glitter glue, I just put little tiny dots. I know you can't really tell too much here, but that's what I do so I don't have overflow. And dropping your sentiment several times is optional. In my house and in my craft room, it seems to be always an option. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and adhere that to the top of our card. I'm going to put an acrylic block on it real quick just to let it sit. Again, we're going to bring in our layering cardstock and our card base. That's set now, and I'm going to adhere our card front panel to the layering cardstock, which is black heavyweight 110-pound cardstock. And the cardstock panel on the top is 80-pound. It's accent 80-pound cardstock, and it's ultra smooth. All right, so now I'm going to adhere that to our card base. I'm going to open it so I can better adhere without it moving all over the place. Put a little glue on the back. And I'm going to make sure I center that and press it into place. Now for some finishing touches, I will be adding a few little stars. So I'm going to grab them here, and I'm going to place some clear iridescent stars and some pale blue stars. So it almost becomes more of a monochromatic, so it doesn't stand out as much as the images do, which is what we want our focal point to be. So I'm adding a few just by the sentiment and the dragon fruit branch, and then 2 near Kimba. Just adds a little more something. And these are really tiny, so it doesn't take away or distract from our focal point, which is that cute little dragon. I mean, I just want to hug him. Okay, so now our card is complete. Here we have some nice shimmer from the stars and his wings. You have the nice highlights showing there on his horns. And the matte metallic silver adds a nice touch and brings a little shimmer towards the top, as well as those little stars. All right, let's go again. The products I used. I used Kimba. I used the dragon fruit branch, the black soot in Distress Oxide and VersaFine Clair and Nocturne, the Fairy Hugs glitter powder in Pixie dust, some of my Memento markers, a little art glitter glue, and we have our card all set. Like always, I'll have everything linked in the description box below. Thank you for being here, and I hope you found some inspiration.